Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amit and I have $27,000 invested into Palantir, which is why we're doing another video on Palantir. Okay, IoT analytics, Internet of Things analytics. We're going to talk about what that means, and we're going to talk about what Palantir has to offer for the Internet of Things. Now, the reason I'm excited to do this video is because I didn't really know what the Internet of Things was before, like the Internet of Things kind of became the Internet of Things. And I don't think a lot of people know what the Internet of Things is. It's like this weird kind of new term that has existed for the past couple of years, but we don't really know what it is. So I want to do a couple things in this video. Number one, I want to define what the Internet of Things is, IoT. And then number two, I want to explain Palantir's integration with the IoT and what the market opportunity is for IoT startups and for IoT businesses to explode with Palantir at the center, and ultimately what that means for the stock. So, Internet of Things. Wikipedia, yes, I'm using Wikipedia. I don't care. It's Wikipedia. Says that the IoT describes physical objects or groups of such objects that are embedded with sensors, processing ability, software, and other technologies that connect and exchange data with other devices and systems over the internet or other communication networks. So, we're talking about physical objects that have a bunch of sensors and software within them that are integrating and communicating cross-platform, cross-network. The field has evolved due to the convergence of multiple technologies, including ubiquitous computing, commodity sensors, increasingly powerful embedded systems, and machine learning. Machine learning, probably one of the biggest ones there. Traditional fields of embedded systems, wireless sensor networks, control systems, automation, independently and collectively enable the Internet of Things. In the consumer market, IoT technology is most synonymous with products pertaining to the concept of the smart home, including devices and appliances such as lighting fixtures, thermostats, home security systems, cameras, and other home appliances. I think Alexa from Amazon could be classified as a IoT device because it's in your home. It integrates all the data that is in your home. It has voice technology that ultimately allows you to make faster decisions and get things done at a higher rate. It also can be controlled via devices associated with that ecosystem, such as smartphones and smart speakers. So I was right about that before I even read that line. And the IoT can also be used in the healthcare system. So at its core, we're talking about physical devices that are able to communicate with the internet, even if they're not literally on a website or something, right? And the sensors and the data that is collected within those integrated systems are able to then work with consumers at scale. So I think Alexa is actually a great example, right? As a smart speaker or Siri or Google Nest or whatever device you use. I have Alexa in my house, but I don't use Alexa often. Like, my mom is obsessed with Amazon, so she buys like new stuff from Amazon. It's like Christmas every day. Like, we get a new Amazon package every day. But she's obsessed with Alexa, even though she doesn't use it, Alexa either. She just likes having it in the house. But this weekend we were putting up the Christmas tree after Thanksgiving, and we wanted to hear a song. So I was like, Alexa, play It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year. And Alexa was able to take my voice, right, and just find that song from Amazon Music, and then just boom, give it to us, right? And that song started playing on that speaker. And that's when, I really got to thinking, oh, this is what the use case of Alexa is for someone who actually has to ask questions a lot to Alexa. This is ultimately the value that Alexa provides. Now, in the context of the Internet of Things, Alexa is an Internet of Things application, right? Because it's connected to the internet. It's communicating cross-culturally or cross-synonymously with music apps and with data recognition from my voice, and then pairing them together using machine learning to make sense of what I just said, and then giving me a result, which is something that I care about. That's something I pay Amazon for, right? When it comes to Prime or when it comes to the cost of the speaker. So it's an integrated system and an ecosystem that can apply to a variety of different elements of your house. Same thing with like a smart fridge, right? Like trying to figure out if it's integrated with Amazon, how many things that I buy, how many things am I low on stock on. All of these things can become potential Internet of Things offerings. So what does this mean for Palantir? Now, on their website, Palantir says, from monitoring raw sensor data to constructing a full digital twin, Palantir Foundry provides a centralized platform for optimizing complex operations. Internet of Things is meant to make your operations smarter, right? That's the goal of it. But too often, IoT frameworks rely on a fragile web of custom APIs, contractors, and microservices. Sorry, let's break that down in a second. APIs, contractors, and microservices. These are all different things that ultimately integrate for a website or for a web tool to make sense. And the IoT, what Palantir is saying, and the frameworks that IoT uses are not centralized because they're operating on things that are ultimately dispersed, which is bad. They say not only are these point solutions costly and prone to disruption, but they're siloed from other key data assets across the enterprise. This is something we've known about Palantir for a long time, right? It works with data across the enterprise, from marketing to finance to sales to IT. Everything is centralized in one set of tools that allows all people that are also non-technical to make sense of all the data that is happening within your organization. With Foundry, users can seamlessly analyze their IoT data and integrate other key processes from datasets to monitor, simulate, and ultimately optimize their operations. That's sort of the goal of IoT's offering with Palantir, making data make more sense. Now, they connect edge hardware to core business intelligence. This is the ability to say, okay, here's the device, here's the software embedded within the device, and here's the intelligence models that we need in order for both of those things to make sense. Synthesizing billions of sensor readings from edge devices fleet-wide can generate important insights. Integrating those billions of sensor readings with a million-row ERP tables, these are enterprise resource planning tables, conduct edge R&D data or live transactional data is transformational. So having the data from the Internet of Things is super important, and a lot of companies are able to do that. Being able to integrate that data within the rest of the ERP suite, meaning the rest of the things that the company uses, is sort of the next generation of what Palantir can do to make things more effective. They say that you can analyze years of IoT data in seconds and not hours, and that's the really important thing when it comes to business intelligence becoming faster. Foundry uses proprietary techniques to achieve 50 times faster compression ratios on machine-generated data compared to other common storage formats. This is also really important, right? Because A, the technology is proprietary, meaning other people can't really compete with Palantir when it comes to the ability to compress data. But B, data needs to be compressed at phenomenal speeds, right? Because when we're talking about data being the new oil and there's so much data that exists, if you're able to compress data at scale and get that data when it is compressed to then be something that it can be made sense of within seconds, not hours, 50 times faster than the competition, you've got a first-in-class software that's just going to be used by every organization that ultimately leverages something like IoT. That's why I'm bullish on this. Now, the impact study is what I really wanted to talk about. Palantir partnered with Ferrari, okay? And Ferrari, for those who don't know, is a car company, very popular car company. They make a lot of important cars. And the head of vehicle performance said, Marco Adorno said, in using Palantir, we have basically taken all of the complexity that lies around managing such a vast amount of data out of our hands. And we really focus our time on extracting value. We run the analyses that we run, focusing on the product that we can develop. So the problem that they had is that Formula One teams, this is Formula in NASA racing, NASCAR. Not NASA. NASA's like space. That's Elon stuff. NASCAR racings have extremely limited time to test their car on the track. So it comes down to it often comes to race weekends, combining immense amounts of data with engineering expertise at speed. So these are cars that don't have enough time to test their products on the track. So there's a limited amount of time to be able to test the car's effectiveness on the track itself. Palantir allows Ferrari to ingest millions of data points, removing the time-consuming data cleaning and integration step and providing a structured, relatable framework, the ontology, from making consequential decisions. Let's talk about that word real quick because I love that word. That's one of my favorite words. Ontology. Ontology is the state of being, right? So if I say, what's the ontology of the chair's ontology is so that people can sit on it, right? That's the state of being of the chair. The chair is there to serve the purpose for people to sit on it. When I say what's the ontology of Amit, I would say, my state of being has a lot of things. I'm a startup founder. I'm a passionate person when it comes to stocks, investing, and finance. I care deeply about philosophy. All of these things comprise the ontological nature of my existence. So when Palantir says it's providing a structured, reliable framework, which is the ontology, that means the state of being of the data of an organization and the ability for the organization to optimize that data and make sense of that data in order to make key decisions that save time, money, and energy becomes the ontological existence of the organization itself, right? And it's kind of meta here because you're saying Palantir is the organization. Ontology is the state of being. And if the organization is data and making sense of that data is Palantir, Palantir becomes the ontological framework by which the data even makes sense in the first place. It's almost like the data becomes useless without having something to interpret it, i.e., what is the ontology of the data? How does the data make sense? What is the state of being of the data? The problems that are solved here were IoT analytics, high-scale data integration in order to make sense of the analytics that you get from the Internet of Things, decision modeling, and then low no-code workflows. No-code workflows is a new revolution that's happening in the tech world. There are tons of websites. I think Bubble is one of the biggest ones that I've heard of, where people can start apps without having to code apps. So if you want to make the homepage for your app on the iOS apps or on the iPhone, instead of having to program like the height and width of the header, you just like drag and drop something, right? It's no code. That code is already built. You use the no code template to then integrate with some little bits of code, and then boom, you've got an app store already ready, which means you don't have to be a designer or coder to build anything. You just have to like have the idea and then know how to use basic tools. Kind of like Shopify was starting websites and stores, right? You just like drag and drop stuff and like boom, you have your storefront. Those no-code workflows are important for non-technical people that work with big organizations when it comes to the Internet of Things, and Palantir is one of those things that is able to integrate with those workflows. Now, they also mentioned that they can integrate IoT across a lot of industries: manufacturing, oil and gas, automotive, food and beverage, utilities, metals and mining, pharmaceuticals, and chemicals. And there's a couple of different things they can do on each of those. So for manufacturing, they can talk about predictive maintenance and production at scale. For oil and gas, they can talk about the root cause analyses and asset simulations and optimization. So like, how do we know how much gas we're going to get and how do we optimize the barrels of gas that we produce? That's important for the environment. That's also important for the economics of the supply and demand of gas, because gas prices are ridiculous right now. So we should definitely get some Palantir to figure that stuff out so we can reduce these prices. For automotive, fleet management and analytics, predictive maintenance, again, all the things you need when you're building car companies at scale and being able to figure out how many cars to produce and at what rate should you be producing them. Food and beverage, batch consistency and deviation improvement with process efficiencies. These are really important. Because if you have a food and beverage company, so much food goes to waste, especially in the United States, and like making sure that you're not having that food go to waste just saves potentially millions and millions of dollars in these factories. For utilities, we have asset monitoring and simulations. For metals and mining, we have preventative maintenance. For pharmaceuticals, we have correlation analysis. This is kind of like the cohort analyses. I did a video on the life sciences and health offerings that Palantir operates. That gives a little bit more in-depth analysis on that. And for chemicals, yield improvement and batch quality analytics and investigations for the consistencies of those chemicals or those pharmaceuticals working at scale. All of these industries work with Internet of Things. So from the perspective of a shareholder, when you're thinking about the stock, you're like, okay, all these organizations work with the IoT. They all work with all these devices that are important. If Palantir is able to just integrate with all of these industries, and the millions of companies that exist in all these industries are using their software to make sense of their data to be more faster, efficient, and effective, then you've got something really, really powerful when it comes to building the connected operations of tomorrow that are going to exist for Palantir at scale. So ultimately, that's how I think the Internet of Things is going to operate, and that's how I think the Internet of Things is going to be really, really powerful. This is also important for the military and the government that are using devices that have sensors and that have AI software within those sensors. All of that stuff is going to need to be integrated to be able to make sense of. And that stuff is Internet of Things at the highest of levels, right? You're talking about devices that are sending back data, that are cross-communicating across different platforms, and that ultimately need to be making sense of by a central authority that is trying to govern how do we use these devices, how do we make sense of those devices, how do we optimize these devices, and how do we make sense going forward to make sure we're the safest and most private that we can be when using these devices when you're talking about the military. So Internet of Things, definitely unique topic. I didn't know too much about it before really doing this video and before doing some more research into it, but it is integrating into everything that is smart within our lives from a consumer perspective, business perspective, government perspective. And Palantir is offering a lot of potential to help make those things a lot more efficient and effective. So yeah, that's Palantir. That's the Internet of Things. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on Internet of Things as well. If you guys knew about it, didn't know about it, sort of what your overall thoughts are about how it's being offered. And yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. Look forward to reading your comments. My name is Mitt. This is the Daily Business Show, and I'll see you in the next one.